Have you ever noticed how tiring it is to constantly want things? Not in a dramatic way, just a low-level hum in the background of your life. The upgrades, the treats, the small purchases that promise to make things easier or better, but somehow leave you feeling exactly the same. Or worse, slightly more overwhelmed than before. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know something straight away. There's nothing wrong with you. You haven't failed at self-control. You're responding normally to a system designed to make wanting feel endless. I used to live in that state almost permanently. My wish list felt like proof that I was moving forward, that I was becoming a better, more organized, more put-together version of myself. But eventually, I noticed something uncomfortable. Every time I bought something I'd been wanting, the feeling barely landed. Instead of contentment, my brain immediately reached for the next thing. Tick one item off, add 3 more underneath it. The list never got shorter. It just changed shape. That was the moment I realized the issue wasn't that I didn't have enough. It was that I'd trained myself to believe happiness lived just beyond my current circumstances. One purchase away, one upgrade away, one delivery away. Sometimes I think about the version of my life that would exist if I'd never questioned that belief. I'd probably still be scrolling late at night, half bored, half restless, adding things to baskets I wouldn't remember ordering. My cupboards would be fuller, my bank balance thinner, and my mind just as noisy. The life I live now isn't perfect, but it is calmer, quieter, more intentional. And that shift started with one simple idea. I stopped keeping a wish list of things I wanted to buy, and I started a reverse wish list instead. A list of things I decided I would no longer buy at all, not as punishment, not as a challenge, but as a way of protecting my attention, my time, and my future. What surprised me most was how quickly that one change rippled outward. It affected my finances, obviously, but it also changed how my home felt, how I made decisions, and how much mental space I had on a day-to-day basis. We live in a world where more is treated as the default. It's 2026. And the internet doesn't just advertise products anymore. It advertises identities, a more productive you, a more attractive you, a calmer, cleaner, more successful you. I fell for it constantly. I'd spend £35 on a productivity journal that promised clarity and focus, only for it to sit unopened on my desk. Or £15 on a viral kitchen gadget that looked brilliant in a 30-second clip and became dead weight in a drawer. The traditional wish list is subtle, but it's powerful. It quietly frames your life as incomplete, as something that needs fixing. My breaking point came when I opened a cupboard full of things I'd once wanted desperately, only to realize that 6 months later they weren't exciting anymore. They were chores, things I had to clean, store, organize, or feel guilty about not using. That's when it clicked. I wasn't buying joy, I was buying future obligations. Sure. Here's the mental model that changed everything for me. Every purchase is delayed time. You don't just pay at the checkout. You pay later with your space, your attention, and your weekends. Once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Most impulse spending, I realized, has very little to do with the item itself. It's emotional. Retail therapy isn't about objects, it's about feelings, control, comfort, hope. I remember almost buying a £45 workout set and stopping to ask myself whether I actually wanted the clothes or whether I was feeling uncomfortable in my body and hoping the purchase would bridge that gap. The moment I named the feeling underneath, the urge collapsed. That question became the foundation of my reverse wish list. If you're listening and feeling a bit exposed right now, that's normal. I felt defensive at first too. There were moments I wanted to look away from my own habits. But if one example so far has made you slightly uncomfortable, just take note of it. No judgment. That's usually where the biggest change starts. The first major category I cut was fast fashion and trend-led clothing. I decided that if something wouldn't realistically last me 5 years, it didn't belong in my wardrobe. At first, I got this wrong. I tried to be too extreme, cut too much at once, and ended up rebounding with impulse buys. It took time to understand that this wasn't about discipline, it was about trust. Trusting myself to make slower, better decisions. I remembered spending £85 on a haul of trendy summer tops that unraveled after 2 washes. At the time, I thought that was normal. Now I see it clearly. That money didn't buy clothes. It bought temporary excitement and permanent waste. Once I stopped buying trends, my wardrobe shrank, but everything in it earned its place. The same thing happened in my kitchen. I stopped buying niche gadgets designed to solve problems I didn't really have. The strawberry hullers, the avocado slicers, the motorized garlic presses, a single good knife replaced all of them. Almost immediately, I noticed an extra £100 at the end of each month. But more importantly, my home felt calmer, less crowded, easier to exist in. That's when I became aware of what I call the maintenance tax. Every object you own demands something from you. Cleaning, storing, fixing, thinking about it. That £12 decorative item isn't just £12. It's future time you haven't spent yet. When I stopped buying those small, purposeless items, I realized I wasn't just saving money. I was buying back my Saturdays. There was one benefit I didn't expect at all. I became calmer everywhere, not just at home. Shops felt quieter, sales felt less urgent, advertising lost its grip. It was as though a constant internal negotiation had stopped. That mental quiet is hard to explain, but once you experience it, you protect it fiercely. I also noticed lifestyle creep everywhere once I started looking. The slow upgrading of things that worked perfectly well before. The £3 soap replaced by the £12 one because it looks better on a sink. Those tiny changes were costing me around £50 a month and giving me nothing in return. Reverting to basics in the areas that didn't truly matter freed up money for things that did. The environmental impact became impossible to ignore too. Every item I didn't buy meant less manufacturing, less shipping, less waste. When I stopped buying single-use convenience items, I wasn't just saving money. I was opting out of a system built on speed and disposal. That brought a deep sense of alignment I hadn't expected. Then there was decoy spending, the digital kind that slips under the radar, premium apps I barely used, small monthly upgrades I'd justified once and forgotten about. I cancelled 4 subscriptions and saved nearly £30 a month. Over a year, that quietly became hundreds of pounds reclaimed with almost no effort. What surprised me most was how this shift changed my behavior everywhere else. When shopping stopped being my default solution, I became more creative. I repurposed what I already owned. I solved problems instead of buying my way out of them. I stopped spending weekends in shopping centres and evenings scrolling through retail apps. I had time again, real time. My relationships improved because I was present, not distracted by the next thing I wanted. Social pressure didn't disappear. Friends still suggested shopping trips and expensive brunches. I learned to offer alternatives without apology. A walk, a coffee at home. Time together without a transaction attached. Most people were relieved, not disappointed. The real power of the reverse wishlist showed up slowly. By cutting mindless spending, I redirected money and energy into things that actually moved my life forward. Investing, learning skills, planning experiences instead of purchases. My new wish list isn't made of products anymore. It's made of moments, a quiet hike, a new skill, a future that feels spacious rather than stuffed. If you want to try this, start gently. Look back at your recent spending and notice patterns without judgment. When you do need to buy something, think about how often you'll use it. And when an urge hits, wait 72 hours. Most desires dissolve once the emotion underneath them passes. If you're brave, try a short shopping fast. Essentials only, not to prove anything, but to let your nervous system reset. You'll be surprised how quickly the noise fades. Every pound you don't spend on something unnecessary is a pound that can build a life you actually want. The reverse wishlist isn't about living small. It's about making your life big enough that stuff no longer sits at the center of it. So, as you finish this video, picture one simple image. A clear surface, a quiet morning, a bank balance that doesn't cause anxiety, space in your home, your calendar, and your mind. What's one thing you could subtract to move closer to that feeling? If you'd like, share it in the comments. And if this resonated, subscribing helps this channel reach people who need a calmer alternative to constant consumption. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.